Imagine a place where the very air of freedom is stifled, where a simple complaint can lead to a digital blackout and a year-long imprisonment. This is the reality for the residents of Annobón Island in Equatorial Guinea. A cry for help ignored. Last year, the people of Annobón, a small island off the coast of Equatorial Guinea, wrote a letter to the government in Malabo, expressing their concerns about the activities of a Moroccan construction company, Somagek. Little did they know, this act of courage would lead to a severe punishment. The residents complained about the company's use of dynamite, which was causing environmental damage and disrupting their lives. Instead of addressing these concerns, the government's response was swift and harsh. Dozens of signatories and locals were imprisoned for nearly a year, and the island's internet access was cut off, leaving the community isolated and vulnerable. Life without the internet, a struggle. The impact of the internet shutdown has been devastating. Banking services have ceased to function. Emergency healthcare has ground to a halt, and residents are facing exorbitant phone bills, as cell phone calls are their only means of communication. Imagine being unable to access basic services or stay connected with the outside world. But here's where it gets controversial. While governments often instruct telecom providers to restrict access, the exact mechanism behind Annobón's internet shutdown remains unclear. Despite this, the residents and activists confirm that the digital blackout continues, even as the Trump administration considers easing corruption sanctions on the country's vice president. A company's denial. Somagek, the Moroccan construction company, acknowledged the internet outage but denied any involvement. The AP was unable to confirm a direct link. One of the signatories, who spent 11 months in prison, described the situation as extremely serious and worrying, speaking anonymously out of fear of government retaliation. Repression and surveillance. The internet shutdown is just one part of a larger pattern of repression in Equatorial Guinea. Phone calls are heavily monitored, and speaking freely carries risks, according to a resident now living in exile. This is in line with a 2024 Amnesty International report that highlights the country's use of mass surveillance to silence critics. Equatorial Guinea, a former Spanish colony, is ruled by Africa's longest-serving president, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Basogo. At 83 years old, he has been in power for over half his life. His son, the vice president, has been accused of lavish spending using state funds and has faced convictions for money laundering and embezzlement in France, leading to sanctions by the UK. A troubled island's history. Annobón, located in the Atlantic Ocean, is one of the country's poorest islands and has a long history of conflict with the central government. With a population of around 5,000, the island has sought independence, accusing the government of neglect. The internet shutdown is the latest in a series of repressive measures by Malabo in response to the island's political and economic demands. Their marginalization is not just political, but also cultural, societal, and economic, said Merce Monge Cano, Secretary General of the Unrepresented Peoples and Nations Organization. A new airport, built by Somagek in 2013, was supposed to connect the island to the rest of the country, but locals and activists say little has improved. Instead, the internet shutdown has worsened living conditions, collapsing key infrastructure, including healthcare and banking services. A protest crushed. In 2007, Equatorial Guinea entered into a business deal with Somagek, a construction company known for developing ports and electricity transmission systems across West and Central Africa. Annobón's unique geological features and volcanic past make it rich in rocks and expand Malabo's influence in the oil-rich Gulf of Guinea. Somagek's activities, including dynamite explosions and construction, have polluted the island's farmlands and water supply, according to residents and activists. The company's work continues, and the residents' complaint in July last year was a desperate attempt to improve their situation. Obiang's response was to employ a repressive tactic commonly used in Africa, cutting off internet access to suppress protests and criticisms. This was different from past cases where Malabo restricted the internet during elections. This is the first time the government cut off the internet because a community has a complaint, said Tutu Alicante, an Annobón-born activist and founder of EG Justice, a human rights organization. According to Felicia Anthonio of Access Now, an internet rights advocacy group, the internet's power to challenge leaders threatens authorities. So the first thing they do during a protest is to go after the internet, Anthonio said. Somagek CEO Roger Sahune denied involvement in the shutdown and said the company has had to rely on a private satellite. He defended the use of dynamite, claiming all necessary assessments had been conducted. After having undertaken geotechnical and environmental impact studies, the current site where the quarry was opened was confirmed as the best place to meet all the criteria, Sahune said. Despite these claims, the residents of Annobón continue to suffer, unable to access even the private satellite deployed by the company. They are left isolated and disconnected from the rest of the continent. A call for action. The situation in Annobón raises important questions about the role of technology and the internet in modern society. How far are governments willing to go to suppress dissent? And what can be done to ensure that basic human rights, including access to information and communication, are protected? What are your thoughts on this matter? Do you think the internet should be a tool for freedom and expression? Or is it a threat to be controlled? Share your opinions in the comments below.